Ready? Ready. Keep your dogs on a leash. Woo! Keep your freaking dogs on a leash, unless, guess what? You're at an off-leash park. Boom. In Lethbridge, there are 3 off-leash parks. Technically, I think there's 4, but one's been out of commission. It's like on and off again. So there are right now only 3 actively legal, like permissible off-leash parks. If you are at an off-leash park, have your dog off-leash all you want. Not that hard a concept. Oh, so frustrating, so frustrating. If you have been following my vlogs at all, you'll probably, in the past couple of weeks, have maybe noticed. Well, it was only one so far. I've got the other one that I still have to post. But I've had a couple run-ins recently because I've been like, okay, this has been an issue for a while, for the past year especially for me. Like, I've always been annoyed when someone has their dog off leash because you don't know what the dog's gonna do. Even if it's the best trained dog ever and it listens to you all the time, something could trigger it. There could be another dog. Like, we'll get into all the different reasons why you should not have your dog off leash unless you're in a designated area to do so. It is a city bylaw in, like, I don't know, every city maybe, at least in Lethbridge, for sure it is. If I recall about Saskatoon, it is as well. I'm sure it is in most large cities in Canada or what have you. City bylaw, off-leash dogs, not cool unless you're in an off-leash park. So since I started biking, it's been way more, like in the past year, been way more of an issue. Especially because we have the coulees here in Lethbridge. It's a beautiful place. People go walking and hiking and obviously biking and stuff there all the time. And people like to walk their dogs in beautiful spaces. I get it. Keep it on a leash then. I get it. Like, you want to do it, but keep your dog on a freaking leash. Like, it's not hard. Just do it. Like, because there's all this space and because you're not... It's like as soon as people don't have to worry about their dogs getting hit by cars, they just assume the dogs can be off leash anywhere. Because, I mean, it happens inside the city too. It happens at parks and stuff. But especially as soon as you get to like an area of the coulees, which there are parks there, there are like shale paths that are made on purpose specifically for people to walk on and enjoy, even with your dog. But there are signs in so many of these places where I've had run-ins. Before you really enter into that trail system at all, there's 2 signs that I've noticed, and I should have, if I was out in the, I should have made this video while I was out in that area, but I'm only out there if I'm biking. Anyway, 2 signs, one which is saying like, yo, share the pathways, bikers and pedestrians, share the space responsibly, whatever. Okay, cool. Other sign says keep your dog on a leash, that this is not an off-leash park, keep your dog on a leash. Those signs are there. In the areas that I'm talking about, the problem areas that I've been in and that I've had issues with, those signs are there. They're there. So it's just a huge problem. It's really frustrating and super annoying, especially on the bike. I am not afraid of getting bit by a dog. That is not my concern. I can't even think of a time where I've had a dog like approaching me that was aggressive, that I thought was gonna bite me. I'm not scared of dogs either. I love dogs. I freaking love dogs. The dogs aren't the problem here. The owners are the problem. Like, it says, oh, it's just, okay. There's this whole thing we talked about before with like obeying the law and also like when to do that, when not to do that. Obviously, I go by my own rules. Everyone does. Oh, I go 5 kilometers over the speed limit, and that's cool, whatever. Everyone has their own limits, and this is one thing that people abuse a lot. Until something horrible happens, and there's a way bigger potential and risk factor here and inconvenience to other people around you, again, that you can't control. Going 5 kilometers over the speed limit, probably not a big deal. The rare occasion it might be because if it's poor weather conditions and that 5 kilometers, whatever. Anyway, I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole. Keep your dogs on a leash in areas where they should be leashed. What areas should they be leashed? Any area that is not an off-leash park. If you don't know the speed limit in a city, because sometimes there's like, oh, you can go 60 here, or you can even go 70 here, and you're still within city limits. If you don't know the speed limit, you go 50. That's the rule. It's like, oh, I don't know, I haven't seen any signs posted, I go 50. You know, like, well, if you don't know that you can have your dog off leash, then you can't, and your dog is supposed to be on leash. There's only designated areas that are off-leash parks. Every other place they're supposed to be on their leash. Okay, why does this bother me so much? Let's get in there finally. There's so much potential, and I'll share some of my experiences that I have had specifically in Lethbridge in this past year. So I don't know which thing to talk about first. So one of the things that I've had happen, because people love to walk their dogs in these trail systems, like single track bike trails specifically, it's already annoying, honestly, when there's hikers and stuff on there, when people aren't moving out of the way, when they're obviously slower than you. It's a single track, you can't really go around them. Some of these things, there's like, it's beautiful, but they're like on edges of cliffs, there's like rock faces, there's stuff going on. It's beautiful, it's not the safest thing either. You could fall off, really hurt yourself. There's a trail called K2 by the college in Lethbridge, and it goes down, it gets pretty steep, and it goes down and it opens up and forks off into different trails, like 6 Mile and Violet Tendency and up and over and stuff like that. So, but down that trail, you've got room. Like, it's like 1.5 meters wide. It's not a single track. It turns into one after. Like, right after that, it starts to thin and forks off to those other paths. But it's still, like, I'm on the left side or whatever, like, towards the cliff edge, and there was an owner with a dog off leash coming up the trail while I was going down. I don't have a lot of wiggle room when there's a dog off leash and an owner coming up the one side, and they were coming up the right side, like my right instead of their right, so it pushed me closer to the cliff edge. And their dog was like really friendly and wanting to like jump up and play with me, and I was like, dude, I'm trying to like not die right now. It's getting steep and my brakes could only do so much, and it was just like I couldn't stop really, and I can't just like anyway, it was very, very stressful. It was very stressful. Having that dog there, I didn't know how close it was going to get. I don't want to hurt the dog. I don't want to get hurt. It was not cool. Another time on 6 Mile, which is after that kind of section where I'm going down, this is on a single track bike trail. There's not a lot of room. There were 2 dogs, 2 different owners in front of me, and they were fighting. They were like on the trail, these 2 dogs fighting. Like, one was way bigger than the other dog, and it was just like, dude, both of them off leash. Like, that's not cool. I don't want dogs to get hurt. I love dogs. I don't want any animals to get hurt. So, not like that anyway. But it's just, yeah, it just, again, wasn't cool at all. I was just, ugh. I don't want to see it. I don't want to get hurt either. There's so much potential. Again, there's also the real risk that sometimes dogs bite people. That happens. Sometimes they get spooked, they get excited, someone approaches them the wrong way, or they think someone is going to threaten their owner, or who knows. But you have no control. You can't rein them back. It's a problem. The other problem, again, is that people here don't do a good job of enforcing these laws, of giving these tickets, that you can get tickets for this. I've recently started approaching people and saying, this is not an off-leash park, when I see this happen. I've gone back and forth with this for a bit and being like, yo, should I do this? Should I not do this? Because either way, the result, there's no results, right? If I don't say anything, I'm still upset because I'm just like, ugh, like, why don't people listen? Like, it happens 50% of the time I leave the house on my bike. 50%. There are people walking their dogs off leash. So 50% of the time, like, I'm trying to get over it and to not get super upset about it. It's difficult though, for real, for me. Like, I'm just that crotchety old man, that curmudgeon, that grumpy dude, and this is just like a thing that really is something that it's so easy to control. You can still enjoy your walk. The dog can still enjoy the walk. Figure it out. Like, it's not hard, and you just figure it frick out. Anyway, so I've started approaching people because I'm just like, I just didn't know what to do. Either I approach them or I don't approach them. Either way, there's no results. But I was like, well, thinking to myself, what is going to make me feel better at the end of the day? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, well, you know, if I tell people, hey, this isn't an off-leash park, what happens is that there's confrontation, and some people don't react well to confrontation. I don't like being confrontational, really. Not with strangers. So, because I can't gauge how they're gonna react. And so I've done it twice so far, like recently, and both times the owners got somewhat aggressive. Like, somebody, like on one of the vlogs a couple weeks ago, they like stopped And I was like, if I had stopped, what would they have, would they really engage further than that into a physical confrontation? But I didn't stop. The other time, I wish that I got it on film. My battery had died when I was finished with this trail, and they like ended up flipping me off and stuff. And then, speaking of batteries dying, anyway, batteries died, I couldn't get it on camera, dude flipped me off. That's when I decided I was gonna call. And then I stopped on my bike and they kept going, but then they stopped and they were like looking at me, and I was on the phone, and the city didn't do anything about it. They weren't gonna send anyone over. It was after hours. And then they said, well, it's always at the officer's discretion anyway, whether they want to go after them. And it's like, they'll only go after them if they, they'll only go after them if like it's a priority if the dog doesn't have an owner. And I'm like, yo, the leash, like, I actually didn't say this at the time. I just wasn't thinking. I was so worked up. I'm gonna call back and we'll get that on film in the vlog. The leash is what implies ownership. So if there's a dog just hanging out next to somebody while they're walking, that person's not their owner. They're not owning that responsibility right there. It's just a random dog and a random person walking. So don't give me that bull crappity. Like, well, you know, if they're just like off leash but they're with their owner, it's not priority. No, there's no owner. An owner would have the dog on a leash. That's what implies the ownership right there. You have no control. You can't, anyway, just the lack of responsibility. You don't want to have responsibility. You have your dog off a leash. No, it's fine. Whatever. It's garbage. It's stupid. This rant has already been too long for this subject, because this is simple stuff. Keep your dog on a leash. Then you don't have to worry about all these other problems that might occur. Your dog might get hurt. Your dog might hurt someone else, either because they go bite them, they're aggressive, or because they're going to run me off the road while I'm trying to bike. Like, there's just a huge inconvenience to everybody. It is just, it's one of those things like not signaling. You know how easy it is to signal on your car? Just do it, damn it. Like, same thing, keep your dog on a leash unless you're at an off-leash park. That simple, very simple. Just do it, shut up. Like, there's no argument. People try to have an argument about it, or they try to what do you, there's no argument here. The sign is there, the bylaw is there, there should be no argument. Just do it. Just do it.